Bismillah, alhamdulillah. We've been talking about the different prophets and their lives ever since the time of Adam and to Noah. We've discussed a lot about the prophets even who went into Arabia. But now I'd like to talk about the sons of Ishaq. And who is Ishaq? And we'll have to talk about his father too before we can do that. The father of Ishaq and Ismail is known as Abram. That was his first name, and then later he was called Abraham. And Abram, when he was little, very, very little, he was what's called a middle child. You know what a middle child is? That's like somebody's the oldest, somebody's the youngest, and somebody's in between. And some of you might be middle children. And we say that the middle child always has a problem, because the first one, he gets all the attention, you know? And then another one is born, and then the baby is born, and then they give all the attention to the baby, but the middle child, he doesn't get much attention. So, anyway, Abraham was a middle child. His father was about 70 years old when he was born, so his father was very old. And people of the time of Abraham, what they used to do, they used to worship different things. Some people worship wood, stones, and things that we've talked about before. But some of them also worship the things up in the heavens. They worship stars, they worship the moon, they worship the sun, and these things were appealing to them for worship. Now in the case, though, of his father, what he used to do is make these statues. Not only he worshipped them, but he made them, and he sold them. Pretty good deal, huh? So he was going around worshiping these statues, making these statues, and some of them he made small, and some he made very big. And when Abraham was small, he used to play on top of them. Can you imagine this? And he observed that sometimes he could make big ears. His father might make very big ears on him. Sometimes he makes small ears, or a big nose. And he was thinking, how could this be a god if you can make it? If you can make your own god, what would that be? We have a good example of this that happened after the time of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Omar ibn Khattab, when he was the caliph, after the death of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was sitting there and he started just crying. And then he started laughing. So some of the people went to him and they said, "Oh, Amir al-Mu'mineen, leader of the believers, we'd like to ask you a question." By the way, they were afraid of him, so they said, "Is it okay if we ask a question, you know?" He said, "Yes." Fadl, what is your question? He said, "Well, we saw you were crying, and then you were laughing, and it was strange to us." He said, "Oh, as far as when I was crying," he said, "in the days of ignorance in Jahiliyyah, we used to do some very bad things. We were superstitious. We were dumb, you know. And what we used to do, if a girl was born, we used to take the baby girl into the desert and bury her alive." He said, "And I had to do that with my own baby daughter when she was born, and took her into the desert and buried her in the sand." And he said, "And this makes me cry even now." He said, "As far as when I was laughing, one day when some people came from a far distance to worship by the Kaaba there in Mecca, they brought all their gods with them. And I found I didn't have any god with me, and I would like a god, but I had some dates, rutab." And he said, "I shaped the dates on the stem that they were on and made a god from it, so I had something to worship. But later I got hungry, so I ate it." And that makes us laugh even today. How can you make a god and then eat it? Well, and exactly this is the point that Abraham was having in his mind. How can you make this statue and then worship it? How, when you took the stone, you cut the stone or the sticks or whatever, and then you stand it up there and you talk to it, and you know it can't hear you, and you know it's never going to answer you. How is this? So some of you remember the story, but I'd like to tell this again for the emphasis of the story and how it fits here. Because what happened one day, Abraham, he went into the big temple where they kept all the statues. The stone figures, the stick figures, even the great big one. They had a huge one with the big ears. Yeah. So he went in there and he took a mallet. Now a mallet is like a sledgehammer. It's a really big hammer. Big hammer. And he went in and he started smash and crash and thrashing and destroying all and breaking them into pieces until there was what? Nothing but junk everywhere. Except which one? The big one. He left the big one. What did he do? He put the hammer right by the big one. And he left. So when the people came, my God, what's happened? Look, all of our statues are broken. Who did this thing? All the stone statues, the wood statues, everything is broken. Oh my God, what happened? Look at this. Look at this. And they're crying and worrying. And they said, who did such a thing? They said, remember the boy? Remember the boy complaining to us about our statues? Ah, let us go see. And so they went and they found him. And they brought him into the temple. They said, look about you. What do you see? Well, what do you say? What do you say about this? He said, why are you asking me? Why don't you ask the big one? He's the one with the hammer. And look what they said. He can't hear and he can't speak. And that's when Ibrahim a.s. said, then why do you worship him? Because when people worship, they're asking. They need something, so they ask. They're asking a statue. Can statues hear? No. It doesn't matter how big you make the ears, they still can't hear. Huh? It doesn't matter how big you make the mouth, they still can't speak. And that's exactly the problem that they had at that time. Same as today, when people worship these rocks, sticks, stones, and bones, isn't it? We talked about the first part of it, which is the statues made from stones, rock, bricks, and whatever, wood. But some of the other people, they were worshiping what? They were worshiping the heavenly bodies, the stars, the moon, and the sun. What about that? So Ibrahim, a.s., he knew that the statues didn't get it. But he began to look for his Lord, and he was thinking, okay, let me look to the heavens. And Allah showed him the stars at night, and he looked up and he said, this is my Lord. Because it's big, and it's out there, you know. He saw this one big star. He said, there you go. But what happened? The star set. And he said, oh, I don't like the things that set. And then what? Allah showed him the moon. There's the moon. That, well, the moon's bigger, right? He said, there, that's my Rabb. That's my Lord right there. But it also set. And he's like, oh, man, what's up with this? That's not right. This isn't, you know, unless Allah guide me, what am I going to... And then Allah showed him the sun. In the day the sun comes, he said, now there, that's something big, isn't it, the sun? But when it went down, he said, that doesn't make any sense. And then he realized, all of that is also false too. Worshipping something just because it's far away, just because it's up in the air, it still is the wrong thing to worship. It's not Allah. So he went back to his people and he said, I am free from you guys and all that you worship. I don't care if you worship rocks, sticks, stones, bones, stars, moon, sun, whatever. I'm out of here. I don't do it. I don't like it. That's not me, right? So, and I want you to think about this and see how this makes sense to you. If you can see it, that's not Allah. If you can hear it, that's not Allah. If you can smell it, taste it, feel it, imagine it, not Allah. No human being could be Allah because you can see them, hear them, right? Food, you can taste it, smell it, that can't be Allah. So anything that your senses perceive, that is not Allah. Allah is beyond your scope of imagination even. So we as Muslims, we don't even try to imagine who is Allah or what is Allah. Or we don't even say, okay, Allah is here or Allah is there. No, Allah is outside the creation. Make sense? And this is what Ibrahim was trying to tell his people. He was trying to make it clear to them that all this you have is nonsense. No-brainer. Well, by the way, do you think they like to hear that? No. People always hate to hear that, don't they? They rejected this idea right away. No. Come on, man. Get off of that stuff. And they start their normal arguments that always happen between prophets and their people, arguing, yes, but, yeah, but you don't understand, and this is something we did for a long time, and, you know, and he went through this thing with them. And by the way, they were pretty upset about what he did to the statues in the temple, too. So much so, if you remember the story, that Nimrod condemned him to be burned. Remember that? How big was the fire? Was it big?
Yes.
How big? Huge. He said, I need a fire. I need a fire so big that no fire ever been like this fire before. And they did. They began to make this fire bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until it was so huge you couldn't see across to the other side. You couldn't see around it from this side or from that side. It was this big of a fire. And flames reaching up into the sky higher than you could see. It was a huge fire. And he said, now, throw him in. Well, the people who grabbed Ibrahim and ran to throw him in, they caught on fire and burned up because it was too hot. But Ibrahim didn't burn, by the way. And they said, how are we going to get this guy into the fire? And they invented something right then called the catapult. And that is the thing which is like a long telephone pole, a long board, you know, and you put it like this, and you have an axle in there like this, and then they pull it down, 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 and then,
The lever.
yeah, like a lever, and it goes, shoo, and throw him into the fire, right? And know what happened? Even the people doing this got on fire. Even the people doing this caught on fire. It was too much fire. And then, whew, pow! Now Ibrahim is inside the hottest, biggest fire ever on earth. Guess what? Allah said to the fire, "O fire, be cool for Ibrahim." Be what?
Cool.
Cool. Didn't say cold. Otherwise he would be freezing in there. He said, be cool. So it was cool. And so Allah let him stay in there. Not just minutes, not just hours, days, days, days and nights. He stayed in the fire. And I'm sure, you know, Nimrud, he was probably going, we burned that guy up. We sure burned him up. Oh, everybody's like, oh. And then he came walking out and they went, oh, Mo, what's that? Whoa, he come walking out. What's that? Whoa. Now they know, uh-oh. One of the things Ibrahim did, he had a discussion with Nimrud. Nimrud was a bad king, really bad. He was telling people he was Allah. He told people, I'm the Rabb, the Lord. And that's when Ibrahim said to him, you know, my Lord is the one who gives life and death. Nimrud said, I can give life and death. Check this out. And they brought some people. He said, kill those and let those live. Now, you see, I gave death and I gave life. What do you think about that? And they were like, oh my, you know, what kind of guy is this? Ibrahim said, my Lord is the one who makes the sun come up in the east. Why don't you make it come up in the west? And he can't. He can't do it. And in this way, Allah smashes these people. By the way, if you think about it, a human being saying that they have power, any human said, I have power, I have something, and they start acting like they have something of God in them, just ask them one question. Can you make one hair grow from your face while we watch? Go ahead. Go ahead. And they can't. One time I had an argument with an atheist in a university, and he was telling me, we're all like gods, really. I said, what? I thought you don't believe in God. He said, well, really, we're like gods. I can make things happen. I can do this. I can do so-and-so. I said, you can. Oh, well, aren't you something then? I said, well, let me ask you a question. Could you, like, eat a lot of food? He said, sure I could. I said, could you go without a lot of food? So what do you mean? I said, well, we're Muslim. And that means in the month of Ramadan, we don't eat or drink, but just during the day. Could you go a whole month, night and day, no food and no drink? He said, no. I said, why? He said, I would die. I said, I thought you said you were like God. God doesn't need to eat. He doesn't need to drink, does he? He also doesn't need to sleep either. So when these people begin to tell you these things, you just stop and think. They're not God. In fact, no human being could be God. Because God needs nothing. Human beings need everything. And where do we get it from? From Allah. So anyway, Ibrahim, of course, has this argument with him. But now, as you can tell, things got pretty tough around there, and he decides he's going to leave. Allah inspired him to take his wife, his family, and leave and begin his migration, which is quite a story in itself. But by the way, before we leave this story, would you like to know what happened to Nimrud?
Yes.
Yeah. It's kind of a funny story. You know what happened? Now, he's telling people, I'm the Lord, yeah? Remember? Big guy. Yeah, that's what happened. That's exactly what happened. Allah took something teeny, tiny, so small, like what? Like a mosquito or smaller, and it went in his ear, went down the eustachian tube, down, down, and when it got real close to the nose, it bit him. Now this hurt. So bad. Worse than an earache. Worse than a toothache. It was horrible. He was like, ah! And he's calling his doctors and his magic people, everybody around him, help me, help me, help me. And they said, well, try this and try that. Nothing would work. And sacrifice to their gods and all this stuff. Nothing worked. Help, help, help. But they used to wear what kind of shoes? Wooden shoes. And they took a wooden shoe and pow! They hit him beside the head. When they hit him beside the head, it shook up everything in there, and the bug stopped biting him. And he was like, oh, thank you so much. I'm okay now. I'm okay. And then it bit him again. He was like, ah! And then, bam! It hit him upside the head again. And this is like, whoa. And it stopped for a minute. And then, bam! It came again. And the biting and the hitting and the biting and the hitting and the biting and the hitting. And that's why and it killed him. He died. Oh, yeah. And even today we still say, quit bugging me. You're bugging me to death. You could laugh if you want to. That something small, something tiny like this, if that can destroy him, he's not God, is he? No, and you shouldn't say that. But by the way, even today we should think that something small that you can't see, that we know exists, that can be in the air. Like when you have germs, you don't see germs, do you? But they can be in the air and they can go in your nose or in your mouth, right? And you can get sick, can't you? So somebody could be real tough. I will do this. I will do that. And he didn't say inshallah. He didn't say God willing, huh? But something real small Allah could put in him and he could be sick and even die. So we should be very careful about being proud in front of Allah. Well, anyway, Ibrahim, he started traveling. And after he traveled around, he went through Egypt, and when he was in Egypt, he got a gift from the king. What the gift was, that they gave him his next wife, which he had Sarah with him. Now he has his next wife, which is Hajar. And he has now these two wives, and they're traveling. And he became older and older and older. And after he was 90 years old, he started praying to Allah. Remember now, his father was probably about 70 when he had him. Now here he's 90 and he's saying, I don't have any kids at all. You know? So if I don't have any children, then what I'm teaching as far as belief in Allah, it's going to be lost. And I wish somebody would continue, and I wish I have somebody, maybe a servant boy or anybody who I could just, and he's asking Allah, you know, help me and get somebody who I can have her like a son. An old lady going to have a baby? But for Allah, he can do that easy. So he had a child. And the child that he had became known as what? Ismail. Ismail. And we have somebody with us today named Ismail too, huh? And in English we call him Ishmael. Ishmael. When Ismail began to grow, there was something that happened. Allah came and tested Ibrahim in a strange way. He let him have a vision of sacrificing his son. And this sacrifice was very serious to Ibrahim because he thought, well, maybe it's just that I need to take him to the place of worship in Mecca, because this was something in his mind too. But maybe Allah really wants me to sacrifice him. So he took his son, sacrificed him. His son said, is this from Allah? He said, yes, it is. He said, then you'll find me patient. Go ahead. And he cooperated with him. And Ibrahim tried to pass the knife right across his son's neck, but Allah didn't let it cut. Even no cutting, nothing. And then Allah sent the ram. We talked about it before, you remember. But now here came this big sheep. Allah had him to sacrifice this instead of his son. And then he understood that he should sacrifice his son another way, which was to take his mother and him out to where? The desert of Mecca, and leave him by the ancient house of Allah, which is called the Kaaba, the first place of worship, the Kaaba in Mecca. And that's where he left him. Now when he left him there, it was kind of strange in a way, because there they were. They had an animal skin full of water to drink and some things. And then all of a sudden, Ibrahim started walking away. Hajar, his wife, goes, hey, what's up with this? Where you going? And he kept walking. Excuse me? Where are you going? Keeps walking. Ibrahim, hello? And he keeps going. And she says, is this from Allah? You see, they are smart. She's a prophet's wife. She understands. Is this from Allah? And he let her know, yeah. He gave a signal. Yeah, she understood. Okay, I'll be patient. Same as the son had said, I'll be patient. Because when something's from Allah, we have to learn how to be really patient. Well, anyway, the next thing that happened, Ibrahim got so far out of the city, and then he stopped where they couldn't see him, and he turned back and looked, and he made dua for them. He prayed. You know dua, supplication, and he prayed and asked Allah to protect them and to take care of them and give them water and give children and so on and so on. So he made a lot of supplication. He left. And then what happened? Well, they ran out of water. There wasn't any more water. Now, the boy was thirsty, and he was very, very thirsty. Ismail, yeah. And what happened then? His mother realized, we got to do something. We're thirsty. We're really thirsty. Have you ever been really, really thirsty? So thirsty, so dry. It was worse than that. And so she went to one of the little mountains there called Safa. And she went on top of it and she looked. And looked. Is there anybody? Is there anything? A caravan, maybe some animals. Is there anything? Nothing. Nothing. So she ran down and she went up to the other mountain. It's called Marwa. And she got up on top of that and she looked. Nothing. And back down again. Maybe something came while I was over on this mountain, and she looked over there, and no. And then back down on the other one, then back over here. And then back over there, and then back over here. And she kept doing that until 7 times. And she was really worried, you know, we need water. Allah, we need water, you know. And then what happened? Allah sent the angel. Angel who? Jibril, Gabriel, alayhi salam, the archangel. And the angel came and made it so that the boy's heel, the heel, when it strikes the ground, what will happen?
The water came.
The water came out. You know the story? And the water started coming out, coming out, coming out, gushing out, more and more and more and more and more and more. It started coming really fast, really fast, really fast. And she started pushing the dirt around, you know, to kind of dam it up. She said, we're going to have too much water all over. And in her language, remember she was from ancient Egypt, she said some word that means go back. What did she say? Zam, 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 zam. And what do we call it today? Zam, zam. Go back, go back. They contained. And so, and that's the story of the well of Zamzam, and it's still there today. By the way, I've been there and I've seen it. Now, even today, and you imagine this is so many thousands of years ago. Thousands of years ago. But even today, that water has never run out, and it keeps giving water. So much for all the pilgrims who come, for all the people who live there. They use this water for everything. And it's not just normal, just H2O. No, it has minerals in it. So delicious. Assalamu alaikum.